Coming up on KPBS Evening Edition, more on why a North County Indian band removed 154 members from its tribe and the money they now stand to lose.
A national controversy over a breast cancer foundation strikes home with threats against the San Diego chapter.
And the San Diego Opera stages a production that's being compared to a Hollywood horror movie. We'll take you backstage at Salome.
KPBS Evening Edition starts now.
Hello, thanks for joining us. I'm Joanne Farian.
And I'm Dwayne Brown.
The computer hacking collective known as Anonymous says it has released thousands of documents related to the trial of a U.S. Marine convicted in a deadly attack in Haditha, Iraq. The group says it broke into the website of the defense attorney for Frank Wuterich, who pleaded guilty to dereliction of duty last month. The hackers left a message on the website, which read, in part, "When justice cannot be found within the confines of their crooked court systems, we must seek revenge on the streets and on the internet." The website was taken down after that message appeared. Earlier this week, we spoke to Wuterich's attorney, Neil Puckett, and he told KPBS there was more information about what happened that day in Haditha in thousands of pages of documents related to the investigation.
It's been a rocky roller coaster ride for the San Diego chapter of Susan G. Komen for the Cure, a foundation that works to fight breast cancer. The San Diego office got death threats and thousands of emails after the national organization decided to pull funding for breast cancer screenings at Planned Parenthood. That decision was reversed today.
I was a little scared yesterday, and I wondered what's going to happen.
Laura Farmer Sherman faced the biggest death threat about 8 years ago when she survived breast cancer. She's now the executive director for the folks who put on the annual walk to find a cure for the disease in San Diego.
This is a passionate breast cancer community that you don't want to stir up.
The Susan G. Komen for Cure Foundation has been stirring people up to fight breast cancer since 1982. It came under fire Tuesday after approving a new policy that pulled funding support for early breast cancer screening at Planned Parenthood.
Which essentially said, if your organization is under investigation at the local, regional, state, federal level, you are not qualified to receive funding from Susan G. Komen.
But her office and several others in California said the decision was unfair because the inquiry by Congress didn't find Planned Parenthood guilty of any crime. Farmer Sherman says they suddenly found themselves in a political firestorm.
We've received thousands of emails, hundreds of voicemails, couple of death threats.
The backlash apparently worked, and the Komen Foundation says it will keep funding Planned Parenthood. Jennifer Coburn says the offices in San Diego don't receive any grant money for the screenings, but they're glad the issue has been settled.
Planned Parenthood applauds the Susan G. Komen Foundation for putting women's health over politics, and we're extremely grateful for the reversal in their position.
By the way, the Komen Foundation provides funding for 750,000 breast cancer screenings a year. About 100,000 of those are provided by Planned Parenthood chapters.
We have more details tonight on a new local news initiative called UT TV. Yesterday, the CEO of the UT San Diego announced at a Rotary Club meeting the newspaper will launch a 24-hour all-news TV station. The news service will begin streaming online in April and eventually broadcast on a cable channel. In his presentation yesterday, Lynch said the new TV station will be utilizing our talent, our contributors, no longer reporters, but content contributors. That's from John Lynch, CEO of the UT San Diego. Lynch also told Rotary members he envisions they will soon be able to watch UT TV on their mobile phones rather than listen to KOGO radio. You can hear his entire presentation on our website, kpbs.org.
County health officials may have a solution for a problem driving some North County neighbors buggy. The problem is eye gnats, tiny insects that head straight for the eyes. They're not dangerous, just irritating. They've been swarming in neighborhoods around organic farms. Now county officials want to put new rules in place to deal with the gnats. Those rules would allow farmers to take stronger measures to get rid of the pests. However, farmers say they're concerned they'll be forced to use chemical pesticides. Public comments on the new rules are due by next Friday.
A worker fell into a reactor pool at the San Onofre nuclear power plant last week. Southern California Edison says he got a dose of radiation that's just slightly higher than a chest X-ray. The company says the worker fell when trying to retrieve a flashlight, and they say he went back to work the same day.
A Latino activist says he'll join the race to represent San Diego's newest city council district. It's centered in the immigrant community of City Heights. Advocates have been trying to get a second Latino on the council for some time. Adrian Florido from our Fronteras desk is following the story. He joins us from the news center. So, Adrian, who is this candidate and why has he decided to run for San Diego City Council?
Well, his name is Mateo Camarillo. He's a longtime Latino advocate in San Diego, and he's decided to run because this new district, which was just drawn this year as a result of the redistricting process, is majority Latino. He was very active in getting the redistricting commission to draw it that way, but no Latino candidate has actually emerged since that happened. The only person who was publicly running was Marty Emerald, the current councilwoman, and so Mr. Camarillo said that if no one else would, then he would.
Now, with a majority Latino population, do you think he can overcome a well-known candidate like Marty Emerald?
You're right. Marty Emerald is very well known. You know, she used to be a reporter herself, and so is a very public figure. And not only is that going to be a challenge for him, but also the fact that even though this district is majority Latino, just over 50%, only 26% of the total eligible voters are actually Latino. So if he was hoping that sort of majority alone was going to sort of carry the day, there are sort of other things that he's going to have to consider. Whites are only 23% of the district's population, but they do make up 45% of the eligible voters. And so speaking just about race and ethnicity alone, those numbers can complicate things a little bit.
All right, from our Fronteras desk, Adrian Florido. Tonight at the Roundtable, Joanne has analysis of campaign finances and why several members of a North County Indian tribe lost their status.
On today's Roundtable, we'll talk about two of the three things you should never talk about, money and politics, and in this case, they go hand in hand. Wait until you hear how much money some San Diego politicians have raised for their campaigns. And a story about identity and the loss of it. 154 members of the Paula Indian Band were kicked out of their tribe. Turns out this story is about money, too. Joining me at the Roundtable are Michael Smallins, politics editor at UT San Diego, and Edward C. Fuentes, reporter with the North County Times. Thank you both for being here.
Good to be here.
Michael, let's begin with you. Let's talk about the money that mayoral candidates running here in San Diego have raised so far.
Well, we've got four high-profile candidates in City Councilman Carl DeMaio, District Attorney Bonnie DeManis, Assemblyman Nathan Fletcher, and Congressman Bob Filner. So they all have the ability and name identification and base to raise some serious money. DeMaio collectively has almost $1 million. Now, about $400,000 of that is out of his own pocket. He's a wealthy individual. Nathan Fletcher's about $750,000, and all of that is from contributions. So he's actually outraised everybody in terms of pure contributions. Bonnie DeManis is a little bit down the pike with about $500,000 total raise, and Bob Filner, the lone Democrat of the four, to everybody's surprise, has only raised about $200,000 plus, and he only has $25,000 in the bank according to the last reporting period. So there's a lot of questions as to his ability to compete at that level.
So in terms of the money they've donated to their own campaign, is there not a limit?
No, there isn't, and you know, the courts have been pretty clear that people can spend that amount of money. But it's not to get confused with, DeMaio has a pretty strong base or broad base. You know, he's raised about $500,000 and a lot of it through small contributions. He's got a strong following for his fiscal conservatism, and that's his real focus on fixing the city's problems. So, but yes, I mean, he can spend as much as or as little as he wants, and others have put in varying degrees of their own money. Are there
limits, though, on other individuals in terms of what they can contribute to these campaigns?
Well, sure. There's a $500 limit to contribution to individuals. And we haven't discussed yet the sort of outside entities that can play a role. The political parties can do their own campaigns, and independent or so-called independent committees always get involved to one degree or another in city politics, as well as we found out at the national level as well.
When you mention in terms of political parties, there was a recent Superior Court decision, too, which increased contributions for them as well.
They had certain limits on what they could contribute to and spend on candidates, and that's been sort of blown wide open, so we expect to see them to be a lot, particularly the Republican Party, which I think has the ability to raise more money from their base and their donors. We'll see them a lot more active, probably in the city council races and things like that, because remember, as far as the mayor's race right now, we've got 3 Republicans, so there's a lot of division among the Republican supporters, and the party would probably not jump right in, at least at the outset, to back one of the candidates.
So, Edward, these numbers seem high, right? Compared to 2008, this...
incredibly high. It makes me wonder what's going on.
Well, it's just, you know, as I've said before, that there's some exceptions to the rule, but I think every cycle you break records. I mean, there's just more money. That's just the way politics are, and especially with the loosening of the limits on these separate, I won't call them independent committees, because as we know, they're not truly independent, that their abilities to raise and spend money are looser now than ever. We're particularly seeing that at the national presidential level. It's remarkable, and it's, for a political spectator, it's very interesting.
I want to talk a little bit about the 52nd congressional race as well. So let's give us briefly a rundown of who's running there and what they've raised.
Well, the incumbent is Brian Bilbray, who last report, I think it was over $600,000. He had about $500,000 in the bank, which isn't surprising for an incumbent. He's in a competitive district now, much more competitive than before, because we did have a redistricting, and so his district is a little more even between the Republican and Democratic voter registration. Republicans have a marginal advantage, but Democrats view it as ripe for the plucking, and he's facing Port Commissioner Scott Peters, who has his own personal wealth, and former legislator Lori Saldana on the Democratic side. Meanwhile, there's a couple really unknown Republicans challenging Filner from the right. So he's kind of in the middle, but he's still the odds-on favorite, I think, to win. The interesting thing about this is the money has been raised, and we'll see a lot more, I think, of outside interest in this, because this has really become a player on the national chessboard. It's a competitive race, and it's one that both parties think that they could win, or in the Republicans' case, lose. So you'll see some national party money coming into that race.
When you say outside interest, you're talking about two super PACs might get involved in this race?
Well, I think we'll see that a lot more than we have in the past, primarily because the limits on how much they can raise from corporations or on the Democratic side unions has been, just thrown away by the U.S. Supreme Court. We're seeing that play out in a pretty dramatic fashion at the presidential level, where these super PACs can come in and really have an impact on the race. We know that there's going to be those PACs involved in congressional races. To the degree they'll be involved in this race, we'll just have to see. Again, if that stays on the national chessboard, I think we'll see that input. We've already seen the Democratic Party do some radio ads against Brian Bilbray, and that's the National Democratic Party, not the local party.
Okay, I want to move on to the other big story this week. The Paula Indian Band has expelled 154 people from its tribe. The ousted members stand to lose $150,000 in annual payments from the tribe's casino. Is this a case of lost lineage, or is it politics behind this too? So, Edward, this is your story now this week. Tell us first about this money that's at stake. Where is it coming from?
It comes from the tribe's big casino. The Paula tribe is one of the most successful gambling tribes in the county, and so part of the whole impetus for creating these casinos was to improve people's lives, and part of the way they've done that is by distributing some of the revenues from those casinos to individual members. That is normal for most tribes that have casinos, in particular in this one, because it's been so successful, then there is a lot of money at stake.
So a total of something like 900, 1,000 people in this tribe, 154 are kicked out. So what's the band say about why they removed those people?
Well, unfortunately not very much. We don't have a lot of information directly from the tribe about what exactly prompted this latest round of removals from the tribe, but we do have some comments from some of the people that have been expelled, and it is mostly a problem with their lineage, at least according to the tribe.
Are we seeing more of these disenrollments, I guess is the term, with the advent of casinos and casino money, or is this happening much before?
Well, there is a little bit of both. This particular incident here in Pala dates back to the 1980s, and that is what the tribal officials will say, is that they'll remind you that this kinds of feuds have been going on, and this particular one traces back to the 1980s, before there were casinos. But obviously now we are beginning to see a lot of these across the state, across the county, and across the nation. There are a lot of people who are being expelled from their tribes.
So how is it determined in terms of whether or not you're a tribe member or not?
Well, it's sort of like being, we have to remind ourselves that these are, in effect, sovereign nations, and this is a little bit about of their process of citizenship. Much the way a country decides its citizenship, they get to decide their membership, and theirs is a factor of being a descendant of a member of the tribe. Back in the 1930s, it became very popular to use blood quantum, so-called, to determine membership in the tribe. But as the generations go, you lose the degrees through marriage with outside members of the tribe and so forth. And this particular group has, according to the tribal officials, not met that 1/16th requirement.
Is that an easy thing to track, or what are the records like? I mean, who gets to determine?
Well, that is the fundamental problem, is that these cases go back, again, 100, 200 years, and back then nobody kept really that careful of records. And so when you look across time, you may find one individual who is listed as full-blooded Pala, but then later on that person is only 1/4, 1/2, 1/3, and so depending on which documents you look at, you may find that you no longer qualify to be a member.
Is there an appeal process for somebody who has been removed or ousted?
Well, the overall rule is, and this has come down from the U.S. Supreme Court, the tribes themselves are the final arbiters of who belongs in the tribes. But individual tribes have different processes. They all have their own individual constitutions, and therefore some of them give some authority to the Bureau of Indian Affairs to be an arbiter in these disputes. The Pala, in particular, they can appeal to the Bureau of Indian Affairs, but the Bureau of Indian Affairs can only make a recommendation that the tribal council then gets to either take or not take.
So, in other words, that appeal likely isn't going to nowhere if the tribal council's already decided.
Right. It's very difficult for them to appeal.
We'll have to end it there. Our time is up. Gentlemen, thank you both for being here.
Salome is a classic opera taking its inspiration from the Bible and an Oscar Wilde play. San Diego Opera is serving up a bold interpretation, and it's being compared to a Hollywood horror film. The story from our culture desk in just a moment. This is KPBS Evening Edition.
Tonight on KPBS at 8, it's PBS's longest-running public affairs series, featuring Washington's top journalists analyzing the week's news. Washington Week with host Gwen Eiffel. Then at 8:30, Need to Know unites broadcast media and the web in an innovative approach to news gathering and reporting. And at 9, the problem of death investigations conducted by elected coroners, many with no medical or scientific background, on Frontline. That's tonight on KPBS.
I'm Judy Woodruff. On the next news hour, new jobless numbers, a preview of the Nevada caucuses, plus Shields and Brooks. That's Friday on the PBS NewsHour.
The American people have named PBS
the most trusted source of news
and public affairs
for the 8th year in a row.
Trust.
The American people have spoken.
Thank you.
KPBS Evening Edition is made possible by Joan and Irwin Jacobs and by
San Diego Opera has opened its 2012 season with Salome.
KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando says it may not be what you expect from the opera.
And be prepared, there will be blood.
Inspired by both the Bible and the Oscar Wilde play, Salome serves up a main character that's a femme fatale who'll do anything to get her man, even if it means asking for his head on a platter. The intense 108-minute show runs without intermission and boasts brief nudity and plenty of blood, says director Sean Curran.
When we first started talking about this, I said I wanted as much blood as there'd be in a Quentin Tarantino movie.
We deal a lot with blood and body parts and chopped off heads.
Wig and makeup designer Stephen Bryant tackles the challenges of Salome with glee.
Now, when you started doing wig making, did you ever think you would be doing, like, severed heads?
I hoped so. That's the fun part.
The central effect is the beheading of John the Baptist. This requires borrowing a prop head from the Santa Fe Opera of Greer Grimsley, who plays John the Baptist.
This one is actually a mold of Greer Grimsley's head, and so it looks exactly like him. His hair is just like this. Although it doesn't weigh as much as a human head would weigh, what we have to do with this one is it's a freshly chopped off head. When the executioner chops John the Baptist's head off, they put it in a bag, and then they deliver it to Salome. Then at one point she opens the bag because her one goal in life at this point is to kiss this head, even though it's not attached to John the Baptist's body. And so when the head is pulled out, the hair is dripping with blood. But then we want her also to be able to have a little bit of extra blood when because her aria that she sings with this is about 20 minutes long. And we need some blood towards the end of the aria that can drip down. So we've got special sponges inside the back of his head that we wet with blood. These sponges will have blood in them. There's one on each side, and when she holds the head like this, she can then just take her hands and squeeze the sponge, and more blood will come out onto her hands and roll down her arms and hopefully off of her elbows is what we're hoping.
Imagine if you had a chopped off head. Imagine how much it would bleed.
They've kind of done this recipe for the blood to be the exact perfect color under the lights. It could look exactly like blood to us, and the color of the lights could make it look from stage like it's not really blood. It's made with a gallon of corn syrup in there. There's a cup of red food coloring. There's a cup of chocolate syrup. The hard part of this entire recipe is we use so much blood. We think we're going to use about a gallon of blood per show, per performance. And so the recipe calls for 1 cup of red food coloring, but of course red food coloring comes in these little bitty containers. But then today from Smart and Final we found a gallon container of red food color, which this should last us the run of the show, I think. We have some other special blood that's edible that has peanut butter in it that we put inside in the mouth and on the head's face so that when she kisses the face, she gets blood all over her also.
Well, I'm very proud of the fact that the New York Times stated in their review of the production that it has enough blood to qualify as a great Hollywood horror movie.
It was actually being compared in the ads to a vampire movie. I thought that was a little far-fetched, but now having seen it, I can tell you it was an amazing opera.
Well, there's always blood. This opera is all about the blood.
Yes, and that was kind of neat.
Blood gets all over everything, from singer Lise Lindstrom in her costume to the stage that needs to be mopped up each night. And of course, it gets on Greer's head.
Yeah, it's part of the thrill. I think it's part of the excitement. And in a strange way, it's part of the sensuality of the piece. So it's got to be vivid, it's got to be believable, and they did their homework, so they made it great.
I have goosebumps on my skin. It was the most chilling opera.
We stayed awake the whole time.
That was KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando. Audiences will have 2 more opportunities to see San Diego Opera's Salome.
Those performances are tonight at 8 and Sunday at 2 p.m. at the Civic Theater.
This is KPBS Evening Edition.
Next time from Eugene, Oregon, it's Antiques Roadshow.
He helped settle part of southern Oregon, and he was a sheep farmer, and he traded a sheep for the powder horn.
I had no idea. I hate a cliche, but I that's amazing.
You're kidding. Mom, are you listening?
Don't miss our visit to Eugene next time on Antiques Roadshow.
Monday at 8 on KPBS.
Hi, I'm Elsa Sevilla. If you find yourself hearing about a great program on KPBS after it's already aired, we have a solution. Get notified about your favorite TV programs on KPBS before they air by subscribing to the TV Highlights email alert. This daily email will feature the best programs coming up right here on KPBS TV, so you can make a date to tune in or plan to record it. It's easy to register. Just go to kpbs.org/alerts.
Welcome back to the Public Square on KPBS Evening Edition. Tonight, a follow-up to the new downtown library story. Remember last month when an anonymous donor came forward with $15 million to help finish construction of the new building? Well, KPBS filed a Public Records Act request asking for a copy of that agreement between the anonymous donor and the city. Well, here it is. But look at this. The name of the donor is blacked out, and read the small print. Block out this party's identity if this document is released to the public as required by Section 9.12 of this agreement. So we may never know who saved the downtown library unless, of course, they want to send me an email. And here's how. jfarian@kpbs.org. Or you can follow us on Twitter, and if you do, we promise lots of bonus video in our tweets. And, of course, we like it when you like us on Facebook.
Recapping tonight's top stories, the attorney for the only Marine convicted in the Haditha killings has been targeted by computer hackers. The group Anonymous says it broke into the law firm's website and downloaded thousands of documents from the case. The San Diego office of Susan G. Komen for the Cure got death threats this week after the national organization said it was pulling a grant for Planned Parenthood. The office here did not support the idea or proposal, and today the National Foundation said it was reversing its decision.
You can watch and comment on any of the stories you saw tonight on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Well, thanks for joining us. Have a great evening. We'll leave you with a look at the forecast.
Good night.